Welcome back to the Jonathan Penaya podcast. Today's discussion is still on this fascinating genre of wildlife photography. With me on the podcast is seasoned wildlife photographer Peter Hogel. We have the fantastic aerial photographer and tour operator Brian Jonathan, and then the safari expert Rebecca Alexandria. Now let's pick up from where we left off. We had that short discussion about mirrorless and DSLR cameras. Peter, I'd like to know, you're probably the more experienced of all of us, and also of so many wildlife photographers in Uganda. Many of us look up to you. And the question that I'm trying to ask is, what influence do you feel digital cameras have had on the creative space? Do you feel like digital cameras have made things saturated, that today anyone can pick up a camera, as opposed to, let me say, the days of what's his name, Adam Enso, who had to spend so many hours in the dark room to get those nice black and white images? Do you feel like people are putting in more soul and more emotion and more time to get the shot, or is it now more about clicking and getting the shot to the hard drive? What do you feel about digital cameras' influence?
Let's kick the hornet's nest.
Yes.
There's so many opinions about this. The digital era has brought a lot of good. Of course, obviously. Easy access, cheap in the long run.
Yeah.
You know? And you can do everything yourself. It has also, in a positive way, brought opportunities to work. I don't want to say manipulate. I would say work with your pictures in ways that was way more difficult. You yourself, whether you're a professional photographer or just having a camera, you can easily learn how to use Photoshop, and you're your own man doing, or woman doing, what you want with your pictures, which very few could back in the days, because you had to give them to someone else. Even as a professional photographer, you needed to explain to someone who was going to do the print what you want.
Yeah.
So obviously it has created a huge freedom and access to a whole new level of photography and picture, how do you say it? How you work with pictures and what you can do with them.
Yeah.
But there is an interesting, as I see, backside of this as well. And I meet so many young photographers today that grew up with digitals, right?
Yeah.
And what is lacking, and I see this from clients saying, so it's not just I think that they are missing out.
Yeah.
They have missed a whole chunk of knowledge and education on how to take pictures and to do it right the first time. They click away and they spend hours picking a picture that was good enough, and then they do whatever needed in the laptop.
Shoot 1,000 and wish you got at least one.
Kind of that. And I'm talking photographers doing that. And the problem comes, and it's a problem that the clients actually feel. There's a photographer coming, he's taking a picture, and the client says, well, that's really good. Can we just do this slightly different? And the photographer, who is paid to do this job, doesn't really know what he did. So he has to take another 40 pictures to hope that he's getting it right this time. I can go back exactly to the setups and the way we did, and I change whatever my client wanted to do. I had a conversation with a lodge owner some time back, and I said I was taking pictures of the rooms, of food, everything, and I was done pretty quick. You know, you go into a room, you take the 3, maybe 4 pictures that is needed.
Yeah.
2 bathrooms, 2 there, right? And I come out and say, so you done? So, and he kind of was joking. He said, what am I paying you for? You were done in 20 minutes. The other guy who was here was, he spent half a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, I walk in and I take the 4, 6, 8 pictures in a lodge room that you need, that you can use. You don't need 6 slightly different angles from the same corner. You need the best picture.
Exactly.
And here is what the digital era has taken away. A certain knowledge and mentality to do things right in the first place. Ask a professional, painter who's painting a room. You need to make sure the walls are clean, not greasy, all the other paint is gone. Then you can do 2 strokes of paint and it's perfect.
Yeah.
If you just come in here, you need to cover it up with layers and layers and layers to cover that you didn't do a good job to start with.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, right? So it's if you don't have that genuine interest in photography, the passion of it, but you're just working as a modern digital photography, you're going to like, and it's quite obvious. I come home with 100 pictures, and these other guys come up with 600, 700, 800.
Yeah, heavy hard drive.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not only heavy on the photographer.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee that the client isn't getting exactly what he needs, and he can't go in and do small changes.
Yeah. Wow.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very nicely answered.
But it is, yeah. So it's a funny story is that I actually had a small issue when I started up doing digital. And I actually didn't use it to the full extent that I could because I was so used to having 36 pictures in my camera.
Yeah.
1 roll of film. So when I went out with my, with my digital camera, I took that 1 picture. And then I'm coming home and I realized this elephant was moving around. Why didn't I take 10?
I could have done more.
you see? So I was stuck in that for a long time.
Yeah.
And today I do work in a way I click the picture I want, even if I take a lot to run. But I'm waiting and I take 1 click.
Yeah.
And a lot of I hear that the camera is clicking away,
the
hoping
machine
that
gun.
they will get the one in the middle.
The machine gun.
Yes, yeah.
The machine gun. I just hope they bought silencers to silence the shutter. All right, Brian. Let me just bring you in on the discussion.
All right.
Let's discuss gear. What is in your bag, or what would you usually? What are the must-haves that you usually have in your bag on almost every shoot? Be it your drone, be it what? Let the listener in on what you have packed. Yeah.
Get a sneak peek into what's in there. All right. In my camera bag, first and foremost, that's the drone. I never leave without it. And then comes in with my Sony camera, A7 III, with 2 lenses, 35 prime and 70 to 200 to get me that extra reach. Then 1 action camera just to give me those action shots. As there was a discussion before about the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's perfect always for those behind the scenes. And of recent
action camera, you're talking GoPro,
that's
what?
Osmo Action 2.
Okay.
Yes, and there's also a Insta360.
Okay.
And I've seen now there's a new trend of people mounting, mostly wildlife photographers, they mount the action camera on top of the DSLR or mirrorless camera so that it gives them that 360 view. So that whatever is happening around them, they can use, and it's common with events people, because they want to show, because they're the ones now who are taking on that behind the scenes challenge more actively, because a client wants to know what happens during a shoot, how do you move this, how do you move that. But now for us wildlife photographers, it comes in as a safety net. And for instance, if you want to share, like a quick share, you want to do a quick share to your Instagram post, or quick share to this, or a client is asking you how is the progress of the works, you can easily use that to share to them, because it's easy to offload it. Then for the blueprint of now what you're doing is now the master copy that you'll deliver to them.
Okay.
Yeah. A couple of tripods, ND filters, although I have my
last resort.
Exactly. A bunch of cables that always keep getting lost. That is my lens cap when it comes to...
I lose lens caps all the time. Yeah.
When it comes to Jonathan, those are lens caps. When it comes to me, those are cables, USB cables.
Yeah.
And probably my battery bank, because I never go anywhere without it. Because there's reaching a place you're looking for where to plug in. I had to build one from the scratch. Get back to the lodge, you're frustrated, you're tired. You don't want again to start plugging things left and right. Just plug in all batteries in, leave it for the night. Morning, wake up. Remember, it happened to me one time in Kidepo.
Yeah.
I left the lodge with only one battery for my camera. I had forgotten two batteries for the drone and one action battery camera. I just prayed I don't exhaust each of those one batteries that I had. But thankfully, a trip back for lunch was enough to pick those up. But now I never move anywhere without it.
I think that energy and battery discussion is one thing that we remember our friend who when we were shooting that leopard in Buro. Remember that friend of ours who
cried all his batteries were down.
He was in regret.
Exactly. He was just wishing he had that extra 10%.
It's in those moments where you become a tourist and now you enjoy the moment with the eye.
Devastating.
Yeah.
So the batteries discussion has been actually not even batteries, but the power. It's a continuous reminder every time you shoot that batteries are going down.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you're staying for the night.
Yeah.
That will determine how well you're going to start the next morning. Because most times you will go and you have maybe half charged batteries and you have no option but to start with that the next day. Yeah.
There are these portable power stations that they make these days that are pretty much serve like a generator.
Yes,
they can power fridges.
They can power
fridges.
And so I think that's now the last resort that's going to be of help to mostly we in Africa who are trying to film. Because now you find lodges, maybe there's some lodges that have unreliable power. And most times when you're going for a shoot, you're not going to look at a 5-star place where to stay. Most times you're going to look at, because now like for we as photographers, you're looking at three things. There's safety and there's power.
Yeah.
How safe is my equipment? For the however how much the lodge is, you wouldn't mind. But you're looking at how safe is my equipment
and how
reliable exactly. And how reliable is, if the place meets those two criteria, then that is it.
Yeah. Peter.
Yes.
In your many years of shooting, and we're still talking gear, would you consider yourself a collector, or are you content? Have you always been content with what you have at the moment? I know there is this whole gear debate of I still need that extra lens. I still need the newest tech out there.
I don't think I'm so bad.
Yeah.
When I was still living in Sweden and I had my studio and was working a little bit differently, yes.
Yeah.
I even had a collection of vintage cameras and a lot of things just standing on the shelf just in case.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think 10, 11 years here has one I couldn't bring everything I wanted. Two, it has reduced over the years. You're losing cameras or things break, and you realize that you actually don't need a new one or need to get a replacement. And I also here work in a different way because I kind of, everything I have, I can and I will bring with me.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm really keeping a tight bag.
Yeah.
Then of course every photographer has the urge of, there was a new lens coming out,
stuff,
or a new camera and upgraded and so of course.
Yeah.
We always do.
Okay. Do you do any mobile photography? These mobile phones they're making some serious claims lately. Yeah? They're making quite some big claims, trying to compete with cinema cameras.
Cameras and all.
What are your thoughts on mobile photography?
Well, I think as a photographer, you need to embrace it. As you said, Brian, it's a behind the scenes shoot.
Yeah.
What's going on, constant updates during the day, that the feed, the news feed, right?
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if I should say it out loud, but I will. Even when I do a shoot for a lodge, for example, you always end up doing something extra with the phone, or you're trying something that comes out nicely. Maybe short video clips just with the phone.
Yeah.
And they are so good. So when I deliver my pictures, I have my folders with full resolution, the internet size.
Yeah.
Some special edition would be special edits.
Yeah.
And I actually give them a folder thoroughly marked phone pictures
photos.
for mobile updates.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's nothing, it's not like I'm charging for it or offering it. But so much from that is so good pictures. There might be an effect coming out. There will be, sometimes, honestly, there is a way to take a picture that is very, very hard to do with a camera.
With a camera, yeah.
And that actually comes really nice with a phone.
Yeah.
So I actually deliver both.
Yeah. I hear you, and I think Brian would also agree. Yeah.
I do.
Something I do want to say, though.
Yeah.
Because a question I got from a friend some time back, he wanted to hire me for a night. And he said, but Peter, I had my friend here, he has a new iPhone. Look at this beautiful picture of the breakfast table.
Yeah.
Why do I pay you so much money to do, look at it. I said, yeah, sure. You know what, I can't even explain it to you, but set the same table.
Yeah.
I'll take the same picture. I could have done it with my camera or with my phone, but I did it with my camera. I said, I'll show you the picture. I'll show you the difference.
Yes.
So he did. I took the picture. I quickly edited it. And we put them on the phone so we can just scroll between the two.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, your picture is, why is your picture so nice? And now it comes to two things. It comes to something you don't see in the phone is the quality, the actual picture quality of the picture. You can't make a 3-meter print and a wallpaper out of that phone photo. You can't. So that quality holds. But then it is the photographers using your means. As I said, I could have taken the picture with my phone. I made it better.
Yeah.
Now I used my camera. So he hires me as a photographer.
Yeah.
Which means on that set breakfast table that he thought was so nice, I took away the jacket hanging over the chair to make it look neat, and that thrown away empty Roenzori water bottle that was, and the half full ketchup bottle on the bottle, and the plastic that doesn't look nice, and I put the knife and fork straight. So all of a sudden, it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
Even though when he looked at the other one, it was good. and he can't even really spot the difference.
Yeah.
But he will choose my picture every time.
Yeah. Nice. Now, when you were talking, you hinted on prints, and I'd like to bring in Becky. You guys operate some really stunning lodge properties in very beautiful locations. And each time I visit safari lodges, I see all these beautiful large prints on the walls of maybe the cottage or in the main lodge area. So just help me understand. And probably you might not know that there is this whole argument in the photography space of should you still print your images? Should you just preview them on the screen? Help me understand what's the value of those prints in a property like maybe say Chambura, your lodge in Chambura.
Chambura Coach Lodge.
Or is it
any
on
other.
Gahinga? Yeah.
Yes. Printed photos are tangible. They're actually tangible. And I think he was talking about quality. The quality of a printed photo actually then, you see, for example, if I have a photo that has been taken with a camera and it has a different resolution, of course, from what I receive on my phone, when you print out a photo, the colors come out and you're able to spot, you know. And the other thing, I think, I hope I don't forget this, is that printed pictures, let's say, if printed pictures, of course, we are now digital most times, but you walked into a lodge, you saw a picture, it lured you in. Printed photos have that effect of luring you in.
That's what I was about to ask. Do you feel like those photos bring your lodge to life?
Yes, they do.
If you removed them from the lodge and just...
I think they do. I think they add to the look of the lodge.
Yeah.
I think they add a lot. Pictures bring in a lot.
Draw you into the
they draw you into the property. You question yourself, why is the photo of, let's say, a Muntwa, the Batwa people, why is it hanging on the wall in Mugahinga? What's the story behind it? Then you know that, the Batwa here, then can I show you on my phone? But if I walk in, it's already displayed. It means it's important.
Yeah.
Why is it there? Then you ask why.
Yeah.
You know why? Because hanged pictures on a wall lure you in. They draw you in. They call for your attention. Look here. I am here. What am I saying?
Let me bring in Peter. Let me bring you in a bit. I don't know if you still print your images, but I feel like each time I've printed a shot, there's this feeling you get when you see your work
you're impressed.
on paper. I don't know.
It's different.
What's your argument? Seeing your image on screen versus seeing it in print?
A print always wins.
Print always.
And I think
seeing, holding, touching, having the impact of having it there.
It appeals to your senses. You're able to touch something. You're able to, you know.
I think another addition when it comes to lodging, it gives a client that depth and context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, I'm not going to refer to the property itself. For instance, if it's an aerial view of a lodge, most times they'll do these shots early morning, sunsets, during the times when they have color. But remember, a client is going to arrive, let's give an example. For lunch or at night. In the morning, the client is going to probably move out. They don't know that they can absorb in this beautiful landscape from the lodge. It will perhaps, and it will even bring you more business. Because the client will say, next time I only had one night here. Why don't I come back for about 3 nights? And then, because there are these seasoned travelers who will say, let me try Uganda. If Uganda is good, I can plan a second extensive trip. So trust me, by the time they'll look at that, they'll say, when is the best time for us to travel to? To come and stay at your lodge. You'll tell them maybe during the dry spells, so that you can have that nice, rich color, have the sunsets, because Volcanoes always has those nice sunsets, viewpoints, and everything. So I believe a client would be lured and they'll be like, let me plan next year. I can come during the drier months, not during the rainy months, so that I can spend, if I spend 2 nights, I'll spend 3 nights here. So that goes back to you.
And I also think that they picked up the printed pictures, fill in the missing gaps.
Mhm.
Imagine a bare wall. It doesn't
Yeah.
say anything. It doesn't speak to anything. So if you walked into that room, it would feel empty.
Yeah.
But if you walked into a room that has different pictures telling different stories, because pictures do tell stories, telling you a different story of something, your mind is being engaged, you
Yeah.
know? You're looking at, okay, someone climbing the Renzoris, and you're like, okay, wow, where is that? That's where your mind goes. And then
Yeah.
you're intrigued and you want to ask someone, can I go to the Renzoris? Then you see, okay, this place has, let's say, the hyenas, let's say, or the leopards. Why are the leopards' eyes like this? So they draw you in than when a place doesn't have photos and anything else. Yeah.
Okay.
So printed, yes.
Yes. Wow, that's nice. Bran, just as we come close to the end of the podcast,
Yes.
let's talk editing. I don't know if you edit any of your photos. Or
I
if you-
actually do, but with my photos, I don't do that. Can I say the over edits? It's just basic color correction, because every photographer knows the software doesn't make the photo.
Yeah.
It's your creativity out in the field that creates the photo. You imagine it, take the snapshot, and you just help to reintroduce what is missing.
Okay,
And
so
then-
when you're talking about the little bit that you do in post, what are those things you're doing, and also what softwares are you using?
Basic walkthrough. Once I drop the photo in, I will do a white balance check, just trying to readjust and color correct it depending on the time of day. The times where it's a morning shot, but you want to create a bit of the sunlight. You want to bring in that extra bit of sun into the image, so you have to make it a little bit warmer. Then there are times when then you'd go to contrast, you'd go to the shadows, either increase or darken. Darken or lighten the shadows. Then also try to play around with the sky. Now, like for instance, Queen Elizabeth, you definitely have to drop down the highlights when it comes to the overexposure. Then also try to dehaze all that. Then also do a little bit of lens correction, chromatic aberrations, all that.
Okay.
Then for softwares, Lightroom is every photographer's playground.
Lightroom. Okay.
Exactly. But now once you're going into these other guys would be like, for me I use Photoshop, and my record is I've never actually used Photoshop from the start. From my beginning of the career, I've always used Lightroom all through. Video editing, I've recently jumped on board with DaVinci Resolve, because it's much more, it speaks more. Because recently we started shooting flat profile with Jonathan, and I bought a premium for a color correcting tool that simplifies editing,
The
and it's
color grade.
much more easier when it comes to DaVinci Resolve. So
Okay.
the two
So it's DaVinci Resolve for video, but photography is
video.
Lightroom.
Yes,
Lightroom.
yeah.
Adobe Lightroom.
Then
Okay.
Lightroom, that is typically photos.
Yeah.
Resolve, that is, I used to be on Final Cut, but it was a bit, okay, it's native to the Mac, which is my editing platform.
Yeah.
But I felt DaVinci Resolve was a more sustainable option to go with, and they have a little bit more features.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me come back to Peter. Let me ask a bit of a personal question. What are those things that you don't enjoy about your profession? What are those things you don't enjoy about wildlife photography?
Besides people? No, that was a joke.
Yeah.
I really don't mind people. What don't I? Obviously, well, maybe it's not so obvious. When it comes to things that might become an issue or might be a headache,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, it's not that I don't like people, but it's a people relation. I have no problems being in the field and it's raining or there's scorching hot or breaking down cars is never an issue. It's an adventure. So the challenge, I'll put it as challenges in my profession, is sometimes dealing with people, because you may not be able to explain what is possible to deliver. You might have different opinions on what you explained you wanted, what versus what you can get, and obviously no one ever wants to pay for it. So I'm not I'm not saying it's something, yes, if there is any issues in my line of work, it comes down to a relationship thing, talking, because otherwise I do what I do because I love what I do. So, and I can say, I mean, on the contrary to what I just said with people, it also brings you to meet so much fun and wonderful and interesting people. So I mean, it's true. It isn't people, but that is where, if I ever have an issue with something, I'll bet it will have to do with people.
Types of people, I guess.
No, but I mean, it's natural, and I don't mean that that people necessarily needs to be difficult. It's just that sometimes it's very hard for someone to express what they want. You need to understand it correctly. You need to transfer that to a picture. And then you come back, but that's not what I meant. And you spend 2 days doing something.
Now, I've seen some people do quite silly things for the shot. I was in Kidepo the other day, and quite fortunately, we were with one of the rangers, and we were shooting some video content, and then this tourist vehicle with it was an Indian couple. Come and we were a bit at a distance, so we drove in and got like really close to the lion that we were viewing. It was a male lion. Now, quite strangely, the lady steps out of the vehicle, puts her back towards the lion, and the husband is trying to take a photo of the lady. The lion was literally 7 meters away from where she was. She had her back towards the full lion, and it just beat my mind. And like every time I look back at that incident, I'm like, if you were not there with our ranger to like tell her get back in the vehicle, we would be reading about some nasty stories. So maybe as a photographer, or maybe things that you've seen tourists do. What are some of those funny or strange things you've seen people dying to do to get the shot?
The story you're telling is, unfortunately, it's not isolated. I have a handful of the same stories, and I without picking a story, I'll say that is what people do. That's the stupid, or luckily sometimes funny, but dumb things people do to get a selfie, or to make a point, or to get closer. And sometimes obviously very, very dangerous. And tourists, you can't blame. You can, but you can't really blame a general tourist for not necessarily understanding how dangerous a sleeping animal is, right? It's easy to sit here for us now and say, well, come on, it's a lion. It'll eat you. But you growing up with the Lion King and the Lion Whisperer and all this, walking lion safaris in South Africa, and all of a sudden you find yourself in Kidepo, and there are 3 lazy lions that haven't moved for half an hour under a tree. And someone in the family insists that they won't move until they're hunting tonight. And I can't move the car, so I'll step closer. And people do get hurt.
People do get
and
hurt, yeah.
die. But that's the stupid things we see.
Yeah.
And selfies is absolutely
Yeah.
that's the worst trend we have
The worst trend we
ever. You know?
Yeah.
They're leaning out of cars and stepping out without understanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you can do things in a safe way with certain animals on a safe distance and still make it look really good and nice.
Yeah.
But that's the stupid things people do.
Yeah. I agree. Now, as we draw to the end of the conversation, I'd like us to, as photographers, the photos we take and the content we put out there, in one way or another, has a voice for the animals that we so fortunate to share space with. So I'd like to understand Brian, and then we'll come to Becky. Becky, you can talk from a tour operator point of view, and then I'll come to Peter. What do you feel like is the relationship between wildlife photography and conservation? How do they co-depend or how are they related?
Well, the two are highly connected together, and they depend on each other, because there can't be tourism without conservation, and there cannot be conservation without tourism. That's just automatic. We are so fortunate that we get to travel and see so many places, not just within Uganda, but Kenya, Tanzania, wherever we go. And we try to tell a story. Most people look at these stories we try to create as entertaining, motivating them to come to maybe, let's say, destination Uganda, for instance, which is our basic focus. But the whole story behind it is we want to encourage you to come. That is definitely it. But we also want you to come see it so that your future generations also can do what? Can also come and enjoy these places. There is that one rule of nature. Live, but leave only your footprints behind. That is basically how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And all our documentaries, some of them might be fun, interesting, so many challenges go through it. Some people look at it as entertaining, but there's a strong message behind it. Let's conserve these places, because it's not a responsibility of me, Jonathan, Becky, or Peter's. It's a collective responsibility to make sure that these places are the way we found them, and they will also stay there for generations. So we need to take up this fight. It's not just me and you, but everyone. So these are all the correlations that we try to create. We want to build a story. We want to tell them that people benefit from this, but the environment also has to benefit from conservation.
Okay, that's a strong message. Yeah. So aside from taking the shot, we also have the responsibility of using our skills to tell stories or send out messages of maybe a situation on ground. Not only promote, but also advance key conservation messages as well.
That's it.
Becky, do you want to jump in on that discussion as well?
When how photography is helping with
Yeah,
conservation.
just marrying the two.
I think you can't have the other. Okay, you can't have them separate. I think both of them have to be combined, because how are you going to encourage someone to conserve something they have not seen? If someone doesn't have, let's say, or can't afford to come down and do these things for themselves, it's the photos that will help you or aid you to tell them that, okay, fine, this is how, let's say, this forest looked a few months ago, and this is how it's looking now. We need to do something about this specific place. You get this, or maybe these were the number of elephants in this area, or this is what happens when you poach, or this is what happens when the tusks are stolen and things like that. So the photos help you to communicate your story better. They help you to bring out the message better. They help you give people knowledge on the things that they don't actually know, because we as humans, we are visual people. We like to see. So you know, it's easy for you to tell me, oh, okay, they're killing elephants down there. It's really bad. When you remove their tusks, this is what happens. I will think about it and try to perceive and create a picture in my head about what I think it is. But then if you pull out a picture and say, look here, and then you show me an elephant, and then you show me what's happening, I will be drawn into, I'll be captivated. I will get interested and want to get engaged in this. So the two work together. They really help each other, get to a better place. And conservation is really, really important, because much as you go out there and take photos. Yes, we're talking about photography. Much as you go out there and take photos, if we don't conserve these areas and these animals, what will you go and picture?
Yeah, we all depend on
There will
that,
be nothing for you to actually take a photo of.
Your future will not have something.
There is nothing else. Like, there is totally nothing for you to see. So you have to protect them, so that for even you who has a passion to go out there and capture these moments, capture these memories, you have something to go back to, and you're also allowing others to do so. And the other thing that actually I think I appreciate are some of the camera traps that they put out in the parks. They're able to document things that whereas someone is not able to go on foot to actually access these animals. You see, you do a survey and figure out, okay, what's happening to this population of lions in this park, or did they eat something? What is it they're eating? What you're able to document. So it's documentation, collecting data, and gathering knowledge, and seeing how best you can help the animals and the people around that area and what's happening. You see, you study and say, okay, what are elephant trenches doing? What happens if we put an elephant trench in this area? Are the trenches deep enough for the elephants not to cross over, or than just setting up a trench? So you're collecting data, information, putting pieces together that help you bring out your message and give out facts to people, which in return helps you to know how best to conserve the environment and the animals, and how best the humans can also be able to conserve and and help the environment as well.
Wow, I really like the point on wildlife photography contributing to wildlife research. The idea of the camera traps, that's a good one. Peter, I know a lot has been said. I probably picked up some of your points as well, but I don't know if you also want to jump onto.
No. I can do building on it and do actually. I'll top it up with something.
Yeah.
Now on the bigger picture, definitely, for example, camera traps have learned us tremendously a lot about animal behavior and for example, and how that have learned us how to do certain things to protect them. Sorry.
Bless you.
So in the bigger pictures, I'm going to say photography ends up in a book about mountain gorillas, which sells across the world, raising money and funds and awareness. On the road next to that is news pictures, as you mentioned, how poaching actually looks. So the newspapers and TV news and the pictures of this is actually what we're saying. This is in your face. This is how it looks when we are talking about poaching. This is the rhino baby next to its butchered mom. And it has a direct impact on people's behavior and people's mentality, right? So that is the bigger picture. My kind of relationship with my little personal, pursuit here. You asked me about my favorite animals and things before, and I said hyenas.
Yes.
And for me, pictures and kind of conservation and awareness is because I have taken a liking to hyenas and vultures that are generally very misunderstood,
Yeah.
Okay.
extremely misunderstood animals.
You actually have, is it a Vultures Awareness Day?
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of that
we
exact
do,
reason,
we do,
yeah.
and they are endangered. I
Yeah.
mean, they're dying. So taking interesting pictures of these animals,
Yeah.
beautiful pictures of what people generally see as dirty, smelly hyenas, and now showing them a beautiful, powerful animal.
Yeah.
That is my kind of way of impacting every tourist I have here, every client I've been on a trip with.
Yeah.
And so on a personal level, and kind of if it's directly, indirectly conservation, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a preservation and mentality change in people.
Yeah. Creating a narrative, twisting the narrative
Yeah,
to the
it
better.
does.
Yeah.
Even if it's one by one.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, to some people, hyenas are also now important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before they it wasn't. So in a way, it's also does that.
Wildlife.
Call them
let's say,
nature's
exactly.
cleaning crew.
Just because we talked a bit deeper about them, hyenas, which everyone looking at scavengers and they're stealing from they have a higher success rate
Exactly.
hunting than the lions
Than the
has.
lions.
Yeah.
Wow.
They succeed more hunting down, killing their own prey than lions do.
Wow.
They are
And the
painted
lions
more
are
as
stealing as often from
they
the
are painted
hyenas.
more as
As the ones that are stealing from
Yeah.
And the lions are stealing as often from the hyenas.
Yeah.
It's just how Disney portrayed them to start with.
Lion King.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. I think that is a very strong point to end on, and really, thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Brian, for joining this conversation today, and hopefully we can have you in the future. All right, guys, that's gonna be it today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Go ahead and hit that like button, share the link in your circles, and as we always say here, is a lot of democracy. If you didn't enjoy it, you're free to hit the thumbs down. That's very useful feedback. For those that want more, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. The podcast is available on all major streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Republic, Pocket Casts, and I believe this particular episode will run on YouTube as well. All right, I'll see you in the next one.
Dom kulunta ngathi la baba